You are listening to New Earth Pathways. New Earth Pathways is a movement to awaken humanity while creating a community in unity. Connect to your heart as we come together as a circle of light to advance the awakening of the planet.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our series, Awakening Stories. And I have the great privilege to sit down with a new friend of mine, Luanne, and she is a New Earth Pathways community member, but she is also a sound therapist, which I've heard some of her work, and it's just amazing. And so, Luanne, I just want to say hi and welcome you. And is it okay if I just start diving in with a question or two for you?
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Okay,
It's so good to
great.
be here.
Oh, great. Thank you. So what I'm kind of curious about it for this series is, how people sort of came into their spirituality, or if you want to look at it, their awakening. Some people come in just already knowing what they're here for, and they already have a real deep connection with the divine. What was that like for you? Do you have a memory of that coming in for you?
Yes, I've kind of always known there was more to life and I was really different and I didn't fit in with my family of origin. But I had a lot of that suppressed. I was born in the 50s, so a lot of that had to be suppressed to get through that time. I went and did a reading with Valeria Bruno just before I went into Ohm Codes and DQ Cert to train. It was the year of COVID that fall. And Valeria Bruno and Marianne Kahn does readings too. They're called soul code readings. Basically, it's the six-pointed star that we work with in evolution. So there's these corners like here. And this corner over here in the soul code is the one for physical challenges. So Valeria's reading just highlighted my whole life for me, and it really brought me into numbers and the use of numbers in frequency, which was perfect for going into DQ and ohm codes. But the code that I have in that corner, and your birth name is used, your birth date, so there's things that are used. Then there's a series of numbers, a formula of numbers that determine how that fits in that particular segment. And that's the upper segment for me was 22-4, and 22-4 comes in as the highest multidimensional frequency in that system. So basically, Valeria said you had a rough childhood, didn't you? And yeah, it was really tough because I was so wide open and so attuned to so much more than just this world, just this life, just this frequency, what I could see, what I could hear. My body knew so much more. And from a soul level, I was tapped into so much that was trying to come in this body that it was really, really difficult. I was a hard kid to handle.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Luanne, because that's just that story right
Mhm.
there. And what you just said it's so important right now to talk about that, because you are one of the wayshowers for these children who are coming in now who are considered difficult, but really they're misunderstood and they
Yeah.
have no reflection. And that seems to be a common thread that I'm hearing in these interviews, is just there's not really that support necessarily as a kid, and differences just weren't accepted.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
you got put into a box of hard to handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact,
So thank you
I've
for
been,
sharing that.
yeah, you're so welcome. I've been places before where there'll be an autistic kid, and
Mhm.
I don't really work with autistic kids, but I've been just in restaurants and places or public places, and I've noticed that I'll see them, and the autistic kids will tap into me, and they'll get quiet, and I can feel this, tune back and forth going on.
Oh,
Yeah, and the
man.
new kids that are coming in, or the kids that are adults now, I've had so many interesting interchanges. In fact, recently I was at a restaurant and there was these young kids and they come up to me and they're like, 20, 21. I had this waiter in a local restaurant come up and he just started chatting. And I was looking into his eyes and he was looking into my eyes. We were just talking tattoos and cars. And there was this deep connection that went on between the two of us that lasted a few minutes. He left and he just was so full of light. And in that same restaurant, about a week later, there was a young man who came in, or I was in, he was a waiter. And I saw this interaction between him and his coworkers. And he was kind of the, pushed down, shoved down. His energy was kind of down. His countenance was down. He was in a feeling place that wasn't comfortable. And his coworkers were giving him looks and giving him energies. And so then he turned around as he's bussing and he looks at me and our eyes made contact and he lit up like that for just a minute. I mean, eye to eye, and he just lit up and he filled with light. And then he broke eye contact and he went back to his coworkers and I just saw him drop back like that. But I thought contact was made. Soul contact was made. We see through the eyes of the soul. We read others through the eyes of the soul. We exchange frequency through the eyes of the soul.
That is just so powerful on so many different levels. And what first came to mind for me is that sometimes it can feel like, in my experience, and I'm thinking other people's experiences too, where it's like, why am I here? What's the point? What are we all doing here? It's moments like that, like in a restaurant, or just even a brief amount of eye contact or a brief conversation, or even just walking past someone energetically, you have no idea what kind of impact you're having on someone else's life.
Yeah.
And I just think that is so important for people to remember.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you sharing that. That's a really powerful story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to remember and know too that we don't have to manage it. It just happens.
Yes.
We don't have to go looking for it. It's like timing. It's like you walk into the store, you don't know why you're there, you walk through, and your body's radiating the code, the signature frequency that you carry, that you came in with. It's part of your blood, that's part of your soul, that's part of the resonance and the harmonics of your body. It exudes and emanates from every cell of your being. So you walk into the store, you get to the back and you go, I don't know why I'm in here. And you just leave. And the person you were supposed to connect with has been connected with. They went home and their life's changed.
Yes. Right.
It works like that. And we don't have to think about it.
Yes. And I think that, oh gosh, I bring this up often, but it kind of goes back to, we are so programmed that to be worthy of being here on the planet, we have to have a certain kind of job or income or house or certain type of success. But it's really not about that at all. It's all those little micro moments. That's what really matters. And like you said, we just be is really all we need to do here.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love that. I'm so glad that came in for us. Thank you.
Yeah. It's important.
Okay. So on that note, we're going to do just a really quick break. Okay. And then we'll dive back into this conversation because I love where it's going. So before we go to break, if you are interested in these types of conversations or learning more about some of the things Luanne was talking about, the DQ or own codes classes, you can go to activateevolution.com. And also, as I said before, Luanne and I are both New Earth Pathways community members. And if you'd like to check out our community, you can go to Patreon and search New Earth Pathways, and you can find us there. And we'll be right back.
Are you looking for a community to light you up while connecting to others? Are you ready to live beyond the containers that have been created in the old paradigm? Come experience what it really means to be part of a new Earth community. New Earth Pathways is a community where a sense of belonging is ever flowing. Opportunities are endless and unconditional love reigns. It is time to create the reality you came here to become. If you are ready to step into self-mastery and creation, explore your brilliance with our community of unity. Together in oneness, we are in the creation of a new earth. We welcome you to a circle of light. Come walk with like-minded, like-hearted souls that uplift and support expansion. The divine design is in creation. Your light matters in this evolutionary space. It is time to connect to the miracle pattern and be the light you came here to be. We welcome you with open arms and invite you to visit newearthpathways.com to connect with others living their divine purpose.
Okay, welcome back. I'm Erica, and we are doing our series Awakening Stories with Luanne. And we just had a really powerful conversation about so many things. I can't even really sum it up because it really was multidimensional, I have to say. That conversation hit on so many different levels in such a short amount of time. So Luanne, okay. So we were talking about your childhood, and that evolved into going from misunderstood and probably categorized as a certain type of person who's challenging, difficult. And I'm sure as a kid you absorbed that kind of energy. And then fast forward to today, where you're having these little like mini miracles as you go about your day. Where in that time period did you feel like you started to come into your own, like challenging childhood?
Well,
And then
there's a little memory that keeps popping in, as I was getting ready to come on today and talk with you, and it's coming up again, so I'm going to trust that's to be shared. When I was probably, I don't know the exact age, it was at 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, that junior high age. I had lots of knowings as a child that I was aware of. Like I knew when my grandmother was going to die, and that was difficult. And the last time I saw her, it was like, I'm going to only see her. I'm not going to see her again. I knew she was dying, and I was pretty young. So there was, I had that kind of awareness in childhood with things and around things. And then when I was in that junior high phase, there was one night in particular, a friend of mine and I are walking at night. We camped out, and we're doing what kids do, out playing. What we do as kids. Anyway, so my friend was Baptist, and I was raised in a Lutheran church. And so, I had the Protestant upbringing. She had the Baptist upbringing, and she told me how I needed to accept Jesus into my heart. She went that route with me, and I didn't have any idea what she was talking about. So I'm like, okay. So I did this little prayer, which is what she told me to do. I had a cosmic experience with the Christ. I instantly went from my little, okay, Jesus, come into my heart, I went up in the heavens, and I became one with the cosmos. I merged with the Christ consciousness and became one with the cosmos. And I'm like, oh, is that what that means? It was just like, I had no concept of what it meant, but that was my first major, I guess what you call metaphysical experience, but it changed my life.
Again, that's really powerful. And so that's a big experience to have at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to tune into what it meant at that time?
All I knew was that it was one of those things where here I am in the little human form. There was a part of me that didn't get it, a part of me that really walked away from a lot of stuff at that point in time. I wanted nothing to do with the church. I didn't want to keep going to church. Dad doesn't go, I don't have to go. I was just putting up all kinds of but there was a part of me who absolutely got and understood it. Absolutely. And that was like the, because I went through really rough teen years, you know, so that was the anchor, if you will, or that was like the connective piece that kept me sane and kept me alive, kept me going, held me. Because you don't forget an experience like that. It goes, and it's part of your soul. It's part of your DNA. It's part of your cells. You can't erase that.
Yeah. Wow. That is really, really beautiful. And so I'm wondering how, so you had this knowledge, this knowingness after that experience, and even before that experience. How did did you keep that private, or like were you able to integrate that into your life as a teenager and then into an adult, or did you just kind of go along with trying to fit in that sort of route?
Well, I never fit in. I mean,
Mhm.
it was interesting because kind of forgot the question.
Well, I was curious. I guess it was a long way to ask, like,
um,
did you, how much of that was part of your day-to-day life, this
my
spiritual
conscious day to
aspect that
day.
came in?
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Again, it's more the undercurrent. It's like if you're in a town, you've got a river that runs, you know, on the surface, and then you've got like where I live, there's an underground river that's part of a aquifer above, you know, there's a below and above rivers. And so it was like that, this was like the undercurrent that was always
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
it was, I guess I'm not really answering that still. I'm trying to figure out how to answer that. I just always knew all the way through high school that I was different. I mean, I
Mhm.
had books around when I was a kid in high school that were like, I didn't read them, but they were there because I knew that there was information in there that I knew I knew. But
Yeah.
it was like books on the occult even, and books on,
Right. Right.
you know, all these esoteric
I
things.
can totally relate to that.
Yeah, so there was just
Yeah.
always annoying. And then when I was freshly out of high school, I had this experience too. It was a near-death experience, and it was actually drug related, but it was
Mhm.
like I had taken a bunch, and I was out in front of a yard in somebody's house, and I thought I was dying, and they thought I was dying. They kept coming out to check on me. So
Oh,
I had
wow.
this experience that I'll summate it to, or bring it to the point of another cosmic Jesus moment, because
Mhm.
um, I see this cameo of like the Christ in front of me, and then these little cameos, circle cameos, so that that big cameo circled with a bunch of smaller cameos that are loved ones and people I know. And the Christ is looking at me and saying, "Why are you doing this to yourself?" And it's like, oh, I mean, it was another huge wake up call. So
Yeah.
that was really the point where I began to realize I was on a pretty destructive path, and begin to shift into another direction.
Mhm.
It's been a very long journey. It's been in
Mhm.
stages and pieces, and
Yeah.
a lot of different modalities and ways to move through it to get to I don't even want to use the word healing, but
Mhm.
it's the evolution of the soul's
Yeah, I love that.
process. So my
Mhm.
journey and my seeking my entire life from the moment I came in has been about the evolution of the soul.
Mhm. Yeah.
And honestly, I got to say the platform here with Jules and the DQ and the Ohm codes and everything I've done and all the training I do and all the, you know, being New Earth pathways is a really big part of my life. And I have grown more and seen more change in my life, and especially sticking with it and keep going and keep going and keep going. The mind, you know, the mental plane, the physical plane, the spiritual plane, the mind heart disconnect has been something that I've really struggled with in my life because of my childhood and because of all of that. I really learned to, I had a therapist one time, she would say, this is your head and this is your heart. They're supposed to go like this and yours are like this, you know? And so my whole journey has been to get myself into the heart. And
Mhm.
the tools that are here have been really big on that. And I'm making huge strides the last few months with really getting out of the programming. In fact, this morning
Yeah.
I drove down to the acupuncturist, and I'm realizing I'm driving down the highway completely and totally in my heart space, in the abstract space, driving down the highway, and I'm managing.
Wow. That's
I
huge.
probably had 20 minutes before the brain popped back in and did its chatter thing. It
That's
was
really good.
fabulous.
But I hear what you're saying, Luanne. I think, doing the work, because the point of what we're doing here is learning how to move ourselves through our own evolution. We support each other, but there's not like a guru or a leader, or we're not looking outside of ourselves.
Mm-mm.
And boy, wow, what a difference that makes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just seen everyone in our community, and myself included, just evolve so rapidly, and it's really powerful
Yeah,
and
it
fun
is.
and
Yes, yes,
amazing.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
So Luanne, we just have about 4-ish minutes left. We can continue talking, because I definitely have more questions. Or you had mentioned you might want to bring in an attunement. What are you feeling about that right now?
Well, what was really popping in was the 22, and to really just attune with the rainbow light. So people that don't know this, this is one of the evolution cards, and it's really, this is a big symbol in the evolution symbol. So I'm putting this up so people that don't know it and haven't seen it can kind of get an idea of this blue-white light and the hydrogen atom. So I just want to, let's just go into breathing. Let's just breathe, okay? In through the nose. Now bring that blue-white light, white-blue light in through the nose. Bring it up into the brain and around the brain. Down the spinal column and out through the mouth. Another breath of this. Blue-white light. Another breath in, blue-white light. Let it move through all the cells, the neurons in the brain, calming, calming, calming. Down the spinal column, let it move into the heart space. Let your heart space fill. Blue-white light. Let it move into your blood, through your lungs and the air. And let the blue-white light continue down the spinal column. Move into the lower dantium, which is the space just below the belly button. Feel the blue-white light fill the sacral area. Now we're gonna just let the blue-white light completely absorb in the body and go out in through the field. The rainbow light is starting to descend down through the chakras into the body, the full spectrum of rainbow light, the seen and unseen. So from your heart space, allow this energy to flow. The rainbow light permeate every cell of your body. Allow the frequency to move through, the light to move through. Know that light is sound and sound is light. And you are the harmonic of the universe. And you each play your own unique tone and note. So go play your piece with magnificence and brilliance, and be the one you came here to be. And so it is. Thank you. We love you. It is so.
Thank you, Luanne.
You are listening to New Earth Pathways. We are a nonprofit community creating a place for you to experience a new earth community in unity. We invite you to join the movement to awaken the planet while connecting to your soul family. By joining our soul community, you can contribute to the movement designed to be the biggest event in the evolution of humanity. Visit newearthpathways.com to connect with others living their divine purpose.